How's this for funny? This is the Dan Wesson I just did a review video on. You can see the case here. This is an FN that I'm about to do a video on. It's the exact same case, just with blue handles. Locks in the same place, all the shape is the same. Even the square for the name, it's in the same place. How about that? $2,000 pistol to not. Let's check it out. Hey guys, Joe here. If you're new to the channel, thanks for checking it out. I appreciate it. Please consider getting subscribed. Maybe use my Amazon affiliate links down below. You'll help the channel grow, and then we can do fun stuff like this. Today we're taking a look at an FN pistol. FN is one of my favorite pistols. I've owned one or two. I believe two. I don't know why I just said it that way, but I've owned two, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. I don't hold on to firearms very long. Especially when they're mass-produced ones, they're not collectible, so I tend to move those on. I enjoy them, I shoot them, and then I get to look at other stuff. So today we're going to be taking a look at one that came into the store on trade, and it really, really surprised me. So it's the exact same case that the Dan Wesson came in, which is also the exact same manufacturer that makes them for CZ, and you can tell just by the internals, this is literally the exact same case. Now, what you can see in here is a firearm and a bunch of mags and some back straps and your information up here. Nothing too impressive in there, but what we'll do is take out what we're taking a look at today, along with one of the mags. We don't need all three out. A lot of back straps though. Before we get going, let's go ahead and drop the mag, lock the slide back, and we will do a safety check. Nothing in it. We are good to go. Let's go ahead and drop the slide back down. And what we're taking a look at today is the FNX-9 millimeter, or FNX-9 in 9 millimeter. As you can see, this is a really good looking pistol. FN has been making really nice stuff for a long time. This one is a newer one because it has the South Columbia. South Columbia. Did he really just say that? I did take a look at the long slide version of it, and you can check out that video up here in which we took a FNX-9L or whatever it was out to the range and put like 50 rounds through it. But I wanted to take a look at this one because it looks very, very cool. One thing I really like about the FN pistol lineup is that most of their guns, not all of them, but most of their guns are fully ambidextrous. This one has decocker and safety on both sides. It also has mag release on both sides. Very tight ones too. And unlike some manufacturers, it works on both sides. One thing you can tell based on the fact that it has a decocking function is that this gun is double action, single action. What that means is that this gun can be started with the hammer in the fully down position. You just pull the trigger and you're good to go. Your follow-up shots will then subsequently be single action. So as you'll see when I release the trigger, boom, it resets at a much shorter distance, and then you can just pull on through and shoot again. That's what a double action to single action pistol is. Now there are other guns out there like the Taurus G3, G2C, and a few others that have what's called double strike capabilities. Those are different. If you can't decock the pistol, you do not have a DA to SA, you have a double strike capable pistol. Because what that means is once you rack the slide, your gun is no longer in double action, it's only in single action, and that's the only way you can get a gun into action if it's one of those particular firearms I just mentioned. So having double strike capability is nice, but this is a true DA to SA gun. If I wanted to, I could do every shot dual action because I have the ability to decock it. Now this one is a polymer lower with a steel slide. As you can see, it has an external extractor. It is a breech lock pistol, which we will talk about when we take it apart. It is very nicely finished. It has a nice pyramid style straps and a horizontally striated front strap, which I've said on a few occasions I think is better, especially if you're looking for recoil ability, because a vertical one would allow the gun to move more in the up and down position versus this one, which As you can see, it doesn't move. It does have a 1913 style Picatinny rail in the front, so you can put any of your standard accessories on it, and it does have some striations or horizontal cuts on the front of the trigger guard. So if you hold like that, it allows you to keep your finger on there, and again, won't slide off as easily. Yes, this is hammer fired. There are striker fired versions of the gun, but this one is a hammer fired kind of throwback to the old school. Looking at the sights, it's a 3-dot setup. As you can see, it's pretty easy to pick up the picture. It's a Novak style, but it's not adjustable. I think you could just take like a mallet and just knock it over a little bit. Same thing with the front sights. External extractor, very small one. See that a lot. And very nice design language. This is a little bit out of place on a gun that's mostly squared off, but it's okay. It's for lightning purposes. Obviously, you can see how much material comes off the slide, but it also is to make it slightly more distinct. Magazines are 17 rounders, so you get 17 plus 1 capacity, which means you get 3 17-round magazines, and you are good to go. With the price of ammunition right now, you probably can't even afford to fill them all. Outside of the decocker / safety, there are no external safeties, like the trigger is not a safety enhanced one, but when you engage the safety, you completely disconnect the trigger. Let's go ahead and pop the top off here. To do that, you're going to, number one, lock it back and do another safety check. I know it's empty, you know it's empty, but we need to do that. And then the next thing you're going to do is kind of like a Sig Sauer. You're going to, here at this point, go ahead and pull down this tab. Now that's going to just stay there. You don't need to take it out or anything. And then you can just pull the top off the firearm. Being a hammer fired, there's no need to pull the trigger. Inside you do have a steel guide rod with a very nice spring. It is nested, so you don't have to worry about that getting lost. And you have your typical Browning tilting locking system. That's breech lock. That means it locks up here instead of with lugs on the barrel like 1911s have. Looking at the finishing in here, you can see it's very nice. No finishing marks to really speak of. It's obviously been fired a little bit. It's a used pistol, but the overall condition of this gun is excellent. The frame is polymer, but as you can see, it does have inserts for frame rails, which is very important to me. Actually, after looking at that HKP30L, I backed off from buying it because even though my brain knows that there's probably no problem with plastic frame rails, I just don't want to do it. In fact, this gun and a Walther PPQ came in on trade towards that HK, so good for that guy. And if I decided I wanted to buy one, I'd buy this one first because it actually has inserts. As you can see, it's much more complicated inside than, say, that 1911 you saw last time. You have a lot of different mechanisms that function to make this gun work. Being ambidextrous, you have twice as many components in terms of slide lock, slide release, and your safety decocker. You can see that the trigger is much more complicated. I'm not going to pull the trigger while the top is off. You just shouldn't do that, period. There's your safety or your drop safety. When you pull the trigger, that pushes that up, which then allows the gun to function. And overall, it's actually very nicely finished in here. Don't know how many rounds has been through this gun, but it doesn't look like a whole heck of a lot. And once you have these 4 components out, you are now field stripped and ready to clean it. Let's go ahead and reassemble it. All you got to do is take your barrel, flip it over, put it in, and you're ready to go there. Taking your firearm, you'll see you have a fat end and a smaller end. Obviously, you need to match the smaller end to the plug hole. Not complicated, guys. Next thing you'll do is make sure that your spring is flat. As you can see, it goes completely flat. If it's at an angle going this way, it's going to impede on the frame. And if you manage to get it down to the other end, it's just not going to engage on the firearm frame either. Firearm frame, that's a weird way of putting it. So next thing you do is you take your frame, you take your slide, you go ahead and mate them up, let them slide all the way back. Next thing you'll do is take the slide back to the open position. This gun is very tight, sorry if the light's wobbling a little bit, and go ahead and drop your slide lock back, or excuse me, the takedown back into position, and you're good to go. So that's the pistol all put back together. I will say that it's a bit on the chunky side. So if you had anything like a Smith & Wesson 59 series gun, this may actually feel very comfortable to you. If you prefer something like a Glock Slimline or a subcompact carry, this may not be the gun for you, as it is going to be a little bit heavier than a lot of the polymer guns, and it is a lot wider. You can see right there, and this doesn't even have the biggest backstrap on it. It fits my hand very well, but your mileage may vary. So what do I think of the pistol? I think it's awesome. If I have the ability to buy it, I will. If I don't, then I'll wait for one to come in. I think they're well designed, they're well built, they fit well, they run well. I had one that got damaged to the slide and it still ran perfectly. So I'm always willing to take a chance on a company that overbuilds a pistol. So if you think the same, let me know down in the comments. You can check out Liberty Arms. Just go ahead and Google it, because I don't want to get demonetized by having a link. And maybe use my Amazon affiliate link to buy stuff. Maybe some toilet paper. It's supposed to come back in stock by the 12th. Check it out and see what you guys can find it for. So leave it down in the comments. Let me know if you'd buy this particular pistol. And I'm going to get out of here. So as always, we'll talk to you later.